Well, good morning, everyone. To those of you here on campus in the room, in the Blue Ridge room of UNCA, we welcome you in person. And to all of you on Zoom, we also welcome you. This is an exciting day, not just for the university who will host the Asheville Ideas Festival, but for all of the region of Western North Carolina, for the 500 participants we hope will join us for the Asheville Ideas Fest. The inaugural Ideas Fest will take place this summer, June 14th through June 17th, on our campus and in partnership with key sites across the region, including Biltmore Estate, Grove Park Inn, the Diana Wortham Theater, and other venues that will host our speakers and host our conversations with one another. The core programming for this inaugural event of the Asheville Ideas Festival will include conversations, discussions, lectures, audience participation, breakout groups with global thought leaders who are now convening in Asheville on those dates, June 14th through the 17th, to focus on some of the dimensions of the most consequential issues of our time. Keynote speakers at the Asheville Ideas Fest 2022 will include, among many others, the following notable names and thought leaders on a global scale. Fareed Zakaria, who is host of Fareed Zakaria GPS Worldwide and a best-selling author. Middlebury College Emeritus Faculty Dr. Bill McKibben, who is globally recognized as a leading voice in environmental stewardship and the environmental legacy that we will all leave to future generations. Dr. Kazmikia Corbett, PhD, Assistant Professor in the Department of Immunology and Infectious Disease at Harvard's Chan School of Public Health, and the inventor of the Moderna vaccine. She will be hosted and specially highlighted at our first annual William L. Roper Annual Lecture in Medicine and Public Health. These are just a few of the most notable persons who will be joining us in this region. In addition, several of our University of North Carolina Asheville faculty and even some students will also participate with these notable and influential leaders as introducers, panel respondents, and discussion support for all of us. With the critical and vital support of Explore Asheville, Asheville Ideas Fest 2022 is the inaugural event of what we hope will become an annual event for the United States and specifically for this region for decades to come. Our vision behind the Asheville Idea is as follows. The mountains of Western North Carolina have long been a gathering place for persons of all backgrounds and types who are thought leaders and movers and shakers and doers in their occupations. For centuries, the Cherokee have known this land as Tokiatsi. It stands for where they race. In the past, notable thought leaders like F. Scott Fitzgerald, the writer, singer, and songwriter Nina Simone, Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, other inventors, other innovators have found this place, all seasons of the year, a place to come and enjoy the engagement with ideas. Visitors and residents alike who find aspiration in Asheville itself, one of America's truly great cities, we invite you to join us for the Asheville Ideas Fest, the gathering of both creative thinkers and doers in each of their fields. The Asheville Ideas Fest is also rooted in UNC Asheville's commitment to shared humanity and the UNC system's commitment to intellectual engagement, plus the belief that seeing the world's greatest challenges from new perspectives will drive positive change in our world. We must recommit ourselves to true engagement, intellectually, personally, and socially with one another. This engagement will be possible with respected thought leaders, new voices, and fellow citizens with whom we agree, as well as those who hold beliefs different from our own. Now, as always, engaging in civil and intellectual dialogue is among the most patriotic actions that we can take to strengthen our democracy. UNC Asheville is the ideal convener and host for the Asheville Ideas Fest. We are a nationally recognized university. We also are inherently an environment where ideas are and can be and will be shared, discussed, and put into action. The dynamic, thought-provoking, and immersive experience of the Asheville Ideas Fest 2022 will help ensure that UNC Asheville, all of the Western North Carolina region, and frankly, across the United States, are recognized as innovative incubators of new concepts, fresh ideas that further complement this university's well-established reputation in education, higher education, the vibrant arts, culture, culinary, literary, and music scenes that impact our entire nation and sometimes our globe. I want to express thanks to our partner organizations. While we are the host of the Asheville Ideas Festival and will continue to serve in that role, we are proud of our collaborations with a number of partners both in the region and across this state. Explore Asheville has been our key partner thus far, and we thank them for helping us get our message out, get our logo well designed, and be known and understood across this nation. South Street Partners is one of our funders, First Citizens Bank. We're working closely with the leadership at the Grove Park Inn that will house some of our visitors to the region. The Biltmore Estate, Biltmore Farms, Duke Energy, and many other entities have contributed to making the Asheville Ideas Fest happen in this inaugural year, and we hope for years to come. I'm proud and pleased to introduce you to my fellow panelists today for this press conference. I am pleased to be joined by Asheville City Mayor Esther Manheimer, by Brad Wilson, Asheville Ideas Fest Advisory Committee member and former president of Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina, its CEO for years, and longstanding beloved writer Wiley Cash, New York Times bestselling novelist, a leader in Southern literature across the globe, and a UNC Asheville alumnus as our author in residence and member of our faculty. Each of these partners of ours will offer their additional insights and perspectives about the Asheville Ideas Fest before we open our discussion for question and answer. Thanks for being here, and thanks for being a part of the launching of the Asheville Ideas Fest. Esther?
Thank you. Okay, pushing the button. Thank you all so much for being here today with us for this exciting announcement. I'm very fortunate to be a part of this celebration today. You know, this makes a lot of sense for us to be hosting this Asheville Ideas Fest as we emerge from 2 years of COVID and re-engage in person with one another. Asheville, as you know, is a historic destination for intellectuals and thought leaders. And this is just a continuation of that tradition, that history in Asheville and throughout our region. This is a place that is known nationally, globally, as a dynamic place of the eclectic arts, culture, music, culinary, one of my favorites, literary and outdoor destination. I was really excited to hear today that Wiley Cash was joining us. I told him my book club read one of his books, and he even offered to Zoom with us. So that's that's very exciting. I won't publicize that. So sorry about that. I appreciate the role that UNC Asheville has always stepped into and is continuing to step into as a convener of thought leaders, and in this case, throughout our nation. And this is an important role for a university to play in any successful and vibrant community. It's really a critical ingredient to a successful economy, to a place where people find happiness and fulfillment. And so while we know that the university plays an important role in supporting our economy to the tune of $500 million a year in annual economic impact, it also impacts our lives in a positive way to bring joy, to bring fulfillment, and to bring, for so many people, opportunity in the future. What I also especially love about this event is how many different folks are involved, and UNC Asheville's role as a collaborator. We are supported in this endeavor by Explore Asheville, and Vic Isley's here, who's the director, and all of the folks that are going to be involved, not just in the city, but throughout the region. And it is the goal of this event to further deepen and broaden Asheville's global reputation as a vibrant destination like no other. I think we're well on our roll. I think vibrancy is really one of the ways people describe our community, but this brings another layer of richness to that reputation. So thank you to UNC Asheville for being a host and for bringing together everyone, playing the role of the convener, and allowing us to collaborate across our region.
Well, good morning. I'm Brad Wilson, and I'm thrilled to be here. I've been looking forward to this day for a long, long time, and let me tell you why. As a native North Carolinian, and in particular native Western North Carolinian, whose birth certificate says Watauga County on it, I have been engaged in public life in North Carolina in a variety of ways for many, many years, beginning when I started practicing law in Lenore and ending, or let's say transitioning most recently from my role at Blue Cross Blue Shield of North Carolina. A conversation about something like this has been underway for at least 20 years, if not longer. In particular, during the time I was privileged to serve on the UNC Board of Governors, there was lots of active conversation. During that period of time, I was there when President Molly Broad was leading our university, and then when Erskine Bowles was there. And during that entire time, within the university community, there was talk about, how do we do this? We need to do one of those things like they're doing in Aspen. And through all the fits and starts over those many years, no one has ever stepped up and stepped out, embraced the idea, taken it by the throat, as it were, and made it happen. So I want everyone to remember this morning, and I look forward to seeing you at this inaugural event because it's historic in nature. Not only because it's the first one, but it's going to embed a legacy in Asheville and Buncombe County, Western North Carolina, and far, far beyond, that the entire state and country can and will be proud of. And as I kind of transition away from the history, I want to say that thanks to the local people led by the mayor and the Ideas Fest Advisory Board, the Chamber of Commerce, because during those historical conversations, the focus was always trying to have this in Wilmington. Now, we love our friends in Wilmington. That's a great place. But I believe that there is no better place in North Carolina to have the Asheville Ideas Fest, or an Ideas Fest that happens to be in Asheville, than right here. And if you can't figure out why, look out the window. And there's going to be people coming to this region that's never been here before. Others will be returning to get the wow factor because they haven't been here in a while. And they're going to keep coming back, and they're going to be on the sales team when they go home, not only for the festival, but for North Carolina. So I want to say thank you to the Chancellor and to her leadership team, because they took it by the throat and they're making it happen. And I can't tell you how excited I am, and those that I'm talking with are, about this inaugural event. And why Asheville, beyond just the wonderful environment, as the Chancellor has already mentioned. A history book full of notable names, from Harry Houdini to Barack Obama, who both work magic in their particular way, and names in between have all picked Asheville to come for rest and reflection and relaxation and renewal. And I would suggest that those attributes are exactly what the Asheville Ideas Fest is all about. It will stretch our minds, it will touch our souls, and it will inspire our hearts and all those who come and attend. So, thank you, Chancellor, for bringing this to fruition. I am glad and proud that you've invited me to be a small part of it, and I look forward to our work together. And so now I'll pass the microphone to Wiley Cash, who has already been introduced and now has book club duty on his calendar. And so we'll look forward to how you're going to frame that out, Wiley. So
that would be great. Thank you so much, Chancellor Cable and Mayor Manheimer and Brad for joining this today. And thank you all for coming in person to campus here at UNC Asheville and being part of this very exciting event. As the Chancellor said, Asheville and the surrounding region have always been a place where folks have gathered, and storytellers especially have gathered here. In the time the Cherokee gathered here on this land, they told stories that taught listeners how to live, how to interact, how to care for one another, how to care for the environment. We've gone from that time to the contemporary moment when writers like my friend Annette Sanook Clapsaddle published her first novel a couple of years ago, the first enrolled member of the Eastern Band of the Cherokee to publish a novel. The Asheville Ideas Fest is honoring this region's particularly potent literary history. Thomas Wolfe was born here, making it the official home of Look Homeward Angel. Wilma Dykeman was born here too, and in 1955, she published The French Broad, an environmental study and ethnography of the river that appeared 7 years before Rachel Carson's book, Silent Spring, which is popularly, and I might add, perhaps incorrectly, held as the founding text of the American environmental movement. Almost 25 years ago, I came to UNC Asheville because I wanted to be Thomas Wolfe and Wilma Dykeman and all of these other writers. And I wrote my first published story right here in a dorm room on this campus. We're still bringing students to UNC Asheville to engage with our rich contemporary community of writers and to learn about those who came before us. And we're still bringing readers to the region. And that's what we will continue to do with the Asheville Ideas Fest. North Carolina can boast of 2 National Book Award winners for fiction. And they will both be joining us this summer. In 1997, Charles Frazier's novel Cold Mountain took the publishing world by storm, going on to sell millions of copies worldwide and winning the National Book Award. In 2021, on the other side of the state, Jason Mott published his novel Hell of a Book, which is about race and violence and art and survival. And it arrived at one of the stormiest times in American cultural and political history. I'm thrilled to announce that both Charles Frazier and Jason Mott will share the stage at Ideas Fest with the international best-selling historical novelist Elizabeth Kostova to consider the role of art and ideas in today's political and cultural landscape. Generations ago, this region was a place where stories were told about how to live, about how to interact, and about how to mutually care for ourselves and for this place. This summer, with the Asheville Ideas Fest, writers will once again join together and continue those stories. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for those remarks for this exciting event today. We'll open the floor up and the Zoom floor, as it is, up to questions from our media or for any of our guests in the room. I have a couple of questions that sort of came into me privately. So could you tell us more about the program highlights? Chancellor Cable?
You have access to the entire program as it currently stands, and there are likely to be some minor changes to this in the coming weeks. But you have access through our website, which is AshevilleIdeasFest.com. So I would urge you to go to that. We are very proud of every single segment. Some of them will include other notable folks we did not mention. Let me give you one example. Lynn Novick, who is a colleague and co-producer with Ken Burns, and has done a film called College Behind Bars, the story of the Bard College work with imprisoned and incarcerated persons. Lynn will be here to talk about her upcoming documentary on the history of crime and punishment in America. She is bringing two of the individuals who graduated from the Bard prison program, and one of them has just finished law school at Yale University and is about to receive a MacArthur Genius Award. So the likes of these sorts of people will be here to enlighten our lives through hearing about their lives. We'll also have during the program a number of musical events, including one of the Steep Canyon Rangers joining us and the Asheville Ideas Festival, the Asheville Symphony, doing some work on its alternative to the for the Asheville Ideas Festival with all modern music, spirituals, bluegrass, and rhythm and blues. So we're going to be peppering a number of fun opportunities to get together around music as well. We'll have some smaller available conversations with leaders in this area. We'll also have, for the introductions of many of our VIPs, we'll have our students and community leaders involved in that as well. So this is an all-in kind of event, and you can see the program as it stands at AshevilleIdeasFest.com.
Thank you. Another question, what is the long-term vision for the Asheville Ideas Fest?
Do you want to go on that one? I'll let you do that one, Brad.
I'll certainly give you my perspective, but I will defer to the Chancellor, our great leader, on points that I miss. If you think about the vision as you've heard it articulated here today, this has a wonderful opportunity, and in fact, it will be institutionalized, not in kind of this sterile, stoic sort of way that word may put in your mind. But it will be a dynamic, energetic, ever-changing, evolutionary event that will reflect our times and circumstances and conditions, and hopefully will help us get ourselves out of the current moment and begin to think more strategically, carefully, and inspirationally about what is over or what is on the horizon for our world. If you listen to what the Chancellor just described, the various subjects that will be undertaken in this inaugural event, and the variety and the diversity, everyone will be able to find at least one or two things that they will come to the festival being somewhat familiar and an expert, but they have the opportunity to explore and wander in a protective environment, quite frankly, to discover new things about themselves and about ideas and opportunities to make the world a better place to live. And so I think that as this grows over time, it will be an event, a place, and a dynamic program that people will look to shape their own individual and collective leadership ideas for the future. That's kind of how I think about it.
Our deepest wish is that this will continue as an annual event for decades to come. And we have good models on which we can pattern some of what we do. Perhaps the longest standing in the United States is the Chautauqua Institution in Western New York, that's been gathering thought leaders for a variety of themes and purposes for well over 100 years, since I think the late 1890s. But we also know that there is a tradition that comes with founding an Ideas Fest, not unlike Aspen Ideas Fest or South by Southwest, or the Grove, which is another fest, and even the Atlantic magazine hosts a fest every year. Those things take hold and they become something that our population, persons of all walks of life, come to find as essential to their lives, to take a moment to think through the issues of the day differently and in concert with many different opinions and perspectives. We believe there's longevity over time, and our deepest wish is that this will continue annually for some time to come. That's why we have so much invested in this first one getting off on the right track.
And if I may add to the future of the Ideas Fest in and of itself, so many of these panels are geared and designed toward looking toward the future in a way that is hopeful and hopefully helpful. I mean, for example, we have Dr. Bill McKibben coming and discussing our shared environmental legacy. What's next? We have Hallowed Ground, Cherokee history and current impact of Native peoples, the current impact. And then we have Governor Christine Todd Whitman leading a talk, Restoring Faith in Public Service. These are all things that are geared toward moving forward, to gathering our ideas and our forces and our humanity and venturing out. As the Ideas Fest moves forward, these will be ideas and leaders that are leading things forward as well.
Thank you. A question, is there a political ideology related to Asheville Ideas Fest?
I'll be happy to take that one. UNC Asheville, as the host, is a public institution, and therefore this is not a political left-leaning or right-leaning event. This is about the coalescing of ideas and perspectives, and this will be, as much as possible, an apolitical event so that we are following our academic mission and also our state statutes. That said, we welcome all perspectives, all views, and we admire and will invite the freedom of speech while folks are here. So that's a good question, and we have that one clearly answered for us.
If you don't mind, I'd like to follow up on that a bit more. Who on the agenda for your first year take a different perspective in terms of being apolitical, to talk about opportunity zones that Senator Scott has developed for the African American community in South Carolina, or Nikki Haley has developed. I'm apolitical as well. But we live in a town that is political. It's blue in the city and red in the county. So we can't avoid the fact that there are diverse opinions around this town. How do you deal with, whether you like it or not, the politics of a very divided nation right now?
Mm-hmm. This is not a local, though we are going to be based in this beautiful city of Asheville, this is not a local enterprise. This is about informing the ideas of lots of people coming from lots of places. So regardless of our current political landscape in this city, region, county, et cetera, that will not be the focus of the Asheville Ideas Fest. To Wiley Cash's point, I think we're all thinking forward on the big, audacious things we need to face as a society. And so that's what we'll be focusing on in an apolitical way. We must and we will.
I was born in Chautauqua County, Jamestown. I'm a descendant of Italian Americans. Who will be speaking next year about the American dream and where it's going? Because if we don't coalesce to the middle and have ideas coming from both sides, if we reflect Berkeley and stop people from speaking, if we reflect Harvard and stop people from allowing Asians to come in, we're not growing the world. We're not making it better. There are ideas that are good on every side of the world. I'm an Italian American. My hero is this man right here, Leonardo da Vinci. How do we assure that this festival stands out and becomes so global that anyone with an idea, with an imagination, which is more powerful than knowledge, according to a little fellow named Albert Einstein, is expressed in your festival?
Well, unless someone would like to.
I would say it's funny that you mentioned, for folks who may be watching virtually and can't hear, the mention of Leonardo da Vinci and the idea of heritage and perhaps underrepresented groups and trying to achieve the American dream. One panel that I find really exciting is a live taping of the Waters and Harvey show, which will focus on the renaissance of America's historically Black colleges and universities, really tapping in to that American dream, delivering some initiatives, some discussing some ideas. going forward. Again, which goes back to the theme that we've mentioned of going forward, not only with the Ideas Fest, but with these ideas themselves.
And I would just simply supplement by saying that the theme of your question is exactly one of the core missions of the Ideas Fest, to create place and space where people of all perspectives can come and speak candidly and civilly. And as I'll just refer to our program as well, one of the first sessions will be the vital importance of civil discourse and how to practice it, because it is in the doing that is the material difference between bomb throwing and civil discourse, in my view. So I think that, thank you for the question, that this is exactly why the Ideas Fest needs to exist and needs to continue in perpetuity. And by the way, we're going to learn something by doing this. We will come away with a list and say, well, if we had a do-over, we would have done this differently. And next year, what we're going to do is we're going to do that better, and we will get feedback and ideas to improve and enrich the program going forward. And what that's called is inclusion and listening carefully. So come and be with us and help us figure this out together.
I'd add two thoughts to your question, sir. One is that John Meacham, who wrote a very notable book called The Soul of America, which is a very inclusive text, if you've read that as an historian, John Meacham will be here and will be one of the centerpieces of what we do, including not just listening to his lecture, but engaging him in breakout groups and conversations with all who are present. So that's one. The last point I'd like to make is that part of what gave momentum to the Asheville Ideas Festival is, if you'll notice in your own mind, there's a lot of ideas festivals that might take place on the left coast and the right coast, and I don't mean that politically, but on the coastal. We are claiming our rightful place in Middle America to do this in Asheville, in a place that knows how to do constructive, progressive, thoughtful change. And so that's a part of why we thought the university's hosting this in collaboration with many, many partners would be a win-win in many, many ways for everyone who attends. Thank you.
One comment is, I've got your back. It's going to take great courage to do this. And a group of us be there for all of you, because what you're endeavoring to do is noble. And it's idealistic. It's going to take great courage to follow through. Monetary courage, political courage, currency is going to be used. I'll tell you personally, anything I can do to help you, I've got your back.
Thank you.
Well, you gave me a perfect opportunity to lead to the next question, which is, could you talk a little bit about how Asheville Ideas Fest is funded?
I'm happy to do that. Part of the funding will come from the sales of badges that will allow every participant to be engaged in every activity, so that there is some revenue that accrues back. This is not a for-profit venture. This is a nonprofit venture, but it will help the university in terms of being better known, I think. We also have had the engagement of a number of corporations and organizations within this region who have wanted, as Brad Wilson has just shared, to have something like this in this area for literally decades. And so a number of the banks, the law firm, a number of other organizations have come forward to support us, including tremendous corporate partnerships with Biltmore Farms, with Grove Park Inn, and the Omni Hotels chain, and so on. So we have an all-in kind of, it was not hard to ask for those funds, and it was not hard to welcome them right into the university so that we could put them out in terms of very quality programming at the Asheville Ideas Fest. And
Thank you,
anyone
Chancellor
who
Emily.
is interested in making a donation can do that. My advancement folks are here in the room, so anyone who'd like to make a donation will make that very easy for you by going to the University of North Carolina, Asheville. We'll be at approximately, Kirk, I'm going to call on you for that. What's the budget? And again, our goal is to break even at this point. I think that answers that one, Sarah.
Thank you. For those of you who didn't hear the answer on Zoom, the budget is about $1.4 million for the Asheville Ideas Fest. Chancellor or anyone, could you talk about the number of participants we're expecting at this inaugural Asheville Ideas Fest?
Well, this first year, we're hoping to have around 500. That's about the total number we can accommodate in a variety of our venues. But frankly, a couple of our events will be open to the public at no charge. And that's our service to the region and to all persons in the region, so that price is not a barrier for many who would like to attend one of the or several of the Asheville Ideas Fest events. I hope next year that we will have between 500 and 600 individuals. And our long-term goal is to actually have 2 thematic sessions that are back-to-back in mid to late June, happening again, hosted by the university in collaboration with our many partners here.
Thank you. There's a question about the named lecture, the William L. Roper Annual Lecture in Medicine and Public Health. Could you explain a little bit more about how that came to be?
Brad, do you want to help me with that one?
Well, I'll give you the introduction to Dr. Bill Roper, who has served the country and this state with great distinction throughout his entire career. White House Fellow, he led the CDC, he was the Dean of the School of Public Health at Chapel Hill, and then ultimately became the President and CEO of the UNC Healthcare System, and then for a good while served as interim president of the UNC system. Bill Roper is, as they say, a gentleman and a scholar. And when I saw that on the program, I was thrilled that there has been a lecture series named after him.
Thank you, Brad. Bill Roper to this university represents the kind of leadership not only in this state and for the UNC system. Bill represents the kind of human being who makes change that lasts, who makes change by being very innovative, and who works always beautifully with people. So I called Bill and asked him if he would allow us to launch the annual Bill Roper Lecture on Public Health and Medicine, and he said yes. It was not hard to get all the panelists. We have 3 lecturers. The first one will be Wesley Burks, who now leads the UNC Health System. The second will be Jeffrey Copeland, who is the Vice President for Global Health at Emory Medical School. And the third is Dr. Kazmikia Corbett, who's a Chapel Hill graduate. We've forgiven her for that. But she did invent the Moderna vaccine. She's an extraordinary leader in global health and public health at this point. We are so fortunate to have her. The 3 of those will give the introductory remarks for the lecture. And then we have a respondent panel of the likes of Susan Mims, who leads the Dogwood Health Trust, Jeff Heck, who's led the Mountain Area Health Education Collaborative for years. We also have Ann Bullock, Dr. Ann Bullock from Cherokee Hospital in Cherokee. And I think there's at least one other person on that list. Those folks will respond to what the 3 lecturers put forward in their lecture, and then we will get the audience engaged in conversations, because that's what Bill has done throughout his life. He's been broadly reaching and engaging a variety of persons with different life experience to help guide the quality of the UNC health system. We thought it was more than appropriate that we honor Bill Roper as we launch this Asheville Ideas Festival.
Thank you. And we have time for one final question, Chancellor, before we turn it over to you for some closing remarks. We talked a lot about the intellectual pursuits, but could you talk a little bit about how the outdoor resources of the area play into the Asheville Ideas Fest?
Well, we would be wise, as we realized early, to make sure that the beautiful environment and the extraordinary biodiversity and opportunities for relaxation and hiking and spelunking and kayaking would be available for all of our folks at the festival. Every day we will start our day, for those who wish to, with some yoga, relaxation, some meditation work that Could happen literally in lots of different beautiful places around. And then we'll have activities in the afternoons and in some other activities in the mornings for folks who would like to take advantage of that. And we're right now finalizing arrangements with a partner here in the region who is interested in being our kind of resource for all the equipment, the training, and the expertise that'll be needed. But everyone who attends will have a chance to get out in the woods, literally, or on our beautiful French Broad River, and to take part in their hearts as to what this is so special about this very, very beautiful place. As we conclude, I want to thank you all again for either on Zoom or right here in the room being with us to launch this very special program and possibility as we move forward for this region, and for all of those from across the United States and even perhaps the globe who will attend. Thanks for your support for an idea that is meant to move this entire region to be better known by all persons. And this will be our first year. We'll be doing what we can to evaluate it, as Brad mentioned, but we are deeply committed to an extraordinary, engaging, thought-provoking, provocative time when we will bring people together here and at venues around the region to make the Asheville Ideas Fest enduring, maybe in perpetuity. Thank you, everybody, for being here.